Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Dedeyan. I'm the founder and CEO of Dedeyan Enterprises, as well as being a professional speaker, peak performance coach, and a learning disability advocate. Catch me on the latest Jesse T show, where we talk about so many great things when personal growth, brain hack, and so on. See you soon.
Chris, what is going on, brother? Welcome to the Jesse T Show.
Jess, my brother, it is such a pleasure being on the show. Just from the previous conversation we had together, I know we're going to have a blast.
Yeah, man, tons of energy too. Like as soon as I started talking to you, I felt my energy was good, but like you've helped me to bring it to another level. So it's going to be energetic. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And just to give the world a little bit of context, who are you? What have you done? And what brought you to this point today?
Yes, thank you for that. So my name is Christopher Dedeyan. I am a professional speaker, peak performance business and life coach, as well as being a learning disability advocate. So essentially every single day, all I do is have great conversations with people such as yourselves, talk to my clients on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, go give keynotes to Fortune 500 companies and beyond, and just help people become peak performing individuals in every area of their life, from their personal life to their business.
I know a bit of your story, and so I know where a little bit of this fire comes from, but talk to us a little bit about how you got started on this journey of self-improvement, of being an advocate for learning disabilities, of basically getting to where you are today.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jess. And honestly, I'm going to have to take it back to when I was 8 years old. So at that time, my parents realized that I was having difficulties at school. They were comparing me a lot to my sister, which she's 2 years older than me. And they're realizing that I wasn't reading to the same level as her, even though I was putting the effort. So they got me tested, and finally the test results came back, and it came back as dyslexic. So I got diagnosed at 8 years old. Now, at that point, my parents did a bit of research, tried to figure out what dyslexia was, and they found this ideal school in the greater region of Montreal, where I live in Canada, that this school was actually specialized for students with learning disability. So at 8 years old, brother, they come and see me in the middle of the school year, and they tell me, Chris, we're going to put you in a specialized school that's going to help you out. Now, at 8 years old, all I understand is I'm losing my friends and I'm going to a special school. Like, I don't want that. I don't even understand what dyslexia is as an 8-year-old kid. But at that point, I knew something was happening. I was still cognitive enough to really realize that, okay, if I want to succeed in the schooling education system, I'm going to have to give 2 to 3 times more effort than somebody that doesn't have learning disabilities. So, brother, the first thing I realized once we got into the school is that I wasn't alone. There's like hundreds of kids like me in the school. So I started being more familiar with dyslexia. I started learning how to deal with it and what's the proper way and tools to utilize so I could succeed in the education system that we were given. So I started succeeding, figuring out that really learning disabilities is nothing other than just a different form of learning. And then going forward towards that, started really becoming successful in the school. Now, as everybody at the end of your high school, when you get close to it, you start thinking about what's the next step, right? What am I going to study? What am I going to do in college, university, and beyond? So as I was looking into that, I found one career that really interested me, being a lawyer, because I like wearing nice clothes. I like talking. I'm like, yeah, this is so up my alley. As I was researching that career, I realized that like 95% of the job is reading and writing. So for people who don't know what dyslexia is, it's learning disability that has to do with reading and writing. So you have so much more difficulty when it comes to that. So knowing that, I'm like, no, I'm not going to go into a career that demands that. So I started looking for a career that has very limited reading and writing or none at all. So what I found was fireman. I'm like, oh, yes, that's cool. I'm going to help people, the fire truck, the boys. I'm like, yes, the adrenaline. I'm like, sign me up. So going to the academy, go out of the academy. And it took me several years to get into it, but started succeeding into that. Started working in a company called Pratt & Whitney Canada, which is a company that is airplane motors. And I was becoming an industrial fireman there. So I was a security agent becoming industrial fireman. As I was doing that, Jesse, I realized that the universe had put me on this planet for more than what I was doing. There was something missing. I couldn't pinpoint it at that point. I was in my early 20s and I was kind of feeling lost. That's the point that for the first time in my life, I picked up a book and I read it by myself, by my own choice. Like obviously in school, you had to read some stuff, but by my own choice. The first book that I ever read was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. The second one was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And these books opened up my eyes and my ideologies to something I've never tasted before, which is personal development, right? So as I went to that, I realized that my whole life, The universe was preparing me to be an entrepreneur, but I was repressing it, calling it out of practicality because I was putting it down due to fear. Oh, I can't read, I can't write, I can't do this, I can't be an entrepreneur, I have to have a job. But looking back at it, I remember when the teacher used to come into the classroom and say, kids, put yourself in teams of even before she finished the word 3, I had my head up. I was looking for who reads the best in the class, who writes the best. Let's put a team together. Let me delegate the work and let's get the grade together. Delegation 101, entrepreneurship. I remember just when I was in college and I was failing, I used to go see the professor after the class and I used to negotiate my grade up. I used to be like, oh no, that's not what I meant. This is what I meant on the thing. I used to get my grade up.
Yep.
So this is negotiation 101. So my whole life, I realized, hey, I'm meant to be an entrepreneur. That's what life was preparing me for. So I went into entrepreneurship as a real estate broker. Now, going into that, definitely loved it. Once again, anybody that starts a business knows the first couple of years is rock and roll. And that's what it was for me as well. It took me a year and a half to actually make some significant income within that career. The first year and a half, I was literally paying to be a broker.
Yep.
Then it started exploding, brother. And I'm almost done over here, my rant, just giving you the whole picture.
This is your time. Keep going.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, brother. So at that point, I was in my mid-20s, succeeding quite well as a real estate broker, succeeding in the concept of what society says is success, the money, the car, the condos, all that's fun stuff. And then my speech therapist that used to follow me in high school gave me a call to ask me a question about a real estate property. And a few minutes after talking about the property, she's like, Chris, how's it going with you? Now, like I said, I was in that peak. I was like, oh my God, it's going great. And as you guys are seeing, I could definitely go on rant. So I went on a long rant with her. I'm like, everything's amazing. After that rant, she's like, Chris, I'm the keynote speaker at this event put together by the Learning Disability Institute of Quebec. I would love for you to come and talk to us about how you are a successful dyslexic entrepreneur. Wow. I'm like, 100%, I would love that. Just that same evening, she sends me an email in the subject in big caps written, Chris, I don't think you should do this speech because there's still a lot of people that have a negative misconception of what dyslexia is, and you might lose some clients and you are new into the entrepreneurial space.
Okay.
Now, brother, I knew she was coming from a place of love. She was coming from a place of, she wanted to protect me. Now, when I read that, instantly I wrote to her, I'm like, listen, I think I should do this speech. I'll give you a call Monday telling you why that is.
Yep.
Monday rolls around, give her a call. I'm like, listen, Bridget, I'm like, if I'm not doing this speech right now, I would be fake. I won't be helping the kids that are on the school benches right now. I won't be helping the next generation. And I won't be helping my future kids because this is something hereditary. I'm like, I'm not fake. I need to do this speech. And she's like, oh my God, yes, I agree. I just wanted to come from you. I didn't want to force you into something. I'm like, 100%. Not only that, if ever I lose clients that don't want to work with me because I'm dyslexic, those aren't clients I want to work with.
No question.
I'm like, that's exactly it. So at that point, I'm like, Bridget, how many people are going to be at this event? She told me it's going to be about like 200. Now, granted, at this point, I've never done a real speech. Brother, I get to the day of the event. I open the door. I look left and right. And there isn't 200 people, bro. It's more like 1,000 people. Now, at this point, bro, my heart is beating through my chest. Sweat is coming down my face.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sitting down, speaker after speaker, doctor after doctor is coming on stage. And I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? Like, this is crazy. And then they call me up. They're like, Chris, please come on stage and present us your story. Now, brother, I don't think I have the proper words to describe what happened at that moment, but the best way I could describe it, it was like this divine moment. It was this like body exterior, like experience. Like my body kind of like was physically there, but my spirituality was in a different level. I specifically knew at that moment that that's what I was put on this planet to do. People were laughing, people are crying. I had standing ovations during the speech. After the speech, I get down, there's a lineup of people that are there and we're like, oh my God, I want to speak to you, and so on and so forth. At that moment, there was the Ministry of Education of Quebec that was there from the province that I'm at. And they started doing a work with me, as well as many other people that got my speaking career started. And at that moment on, I'm like, all right, cool. I have to shift everything that I'm doing. And this is what I have to do for the rest of my life. Yep. Everybody around me thought I was crazy because I'd built a successful real estate business in my early 20s. And I was going to become one of the top end brokers within my own righteousness. And I let that going into the speaking career and coaching career, which is not something necessarily very known. So I gave you a long kind of explanation over here, but it kind of shows you the arc of how I became where I became with my dyslexia and beyond.